Dear Jenny, while your advice column only appears in my newspaper once a week, it astonishes me to learn of stories far and wide, ranging from the strange to the psychotic. Still, it is a momentary eyebrow raiser, as I wait for the bread in my toaster to pop up. Not in my rare wildest thoughts had I considered myself sending in a letter for aid. I consider myself a simple man. I drink my coffee, drive to work, sweat and labor, and return home every single day. Not once have I ever taken any sort of selfish pleasure, for I find myself content with the nature of my routine. There is no need for change. I desire no such thing. Yet, there was one morning that completely changed everything, and now I find myself restless. To begin with, I do not exaggerate that I am indeed a simple man. I live in the house I grew up in as a boy, inheriting it from my now deceased parents. My alarm rouses me at 6 a.m. on the dot, and I am downstairs by 6:02. Coffee machine is turned on at 6:04, bread in the toaster at 6:05. I am meticulous with my time, Jenny. I do not accept wasted seconds. I consume my finished breakfast at 6:15, dress myself by 6:25, and walk out the door at 6:30 a.m. As you can tell, the routine is perfect. That is because I have practiced it for 20 years. In those 20 years, very little has changed. Promotions, minor sick leaves, and work parties aside, you could consider my life a broken record player. A dead life to many. A perfect life for me. I often question if some sort of angry god decided to play a trick on me for my continued pattern. Was my life that boring to watch for some mischievous demon that something had to turn it upside down? Perhaps. The date was February 19th, 2 weeks before this letter came to mind. 3 before I sat down to write it. I woke up, ate breakfast, and went to work. It was familiar, and I let myself follow my routine as expected without a single care in the world. That was one mistake I did not intend to make. I left work precisely at 5:15 p.m. I arrived at my car at 5:16. Drove out of the lot and onto the main street at 5:18. The streetlights rarely change their schedule red to yellow to green, so I waited at one particular crossroad, expecting to roll forward within a minute. As it did, I was lulled in further into my autopilot, driving through a large patch of woods that divided the suburbs of my area. I felt the world stop as my car slammed onto something that ran across the front of it. Whether it was in desperation or aggression, its sprint was halted by my front bumper crashing into its side and punting it forward. God, it feels so strange to write that, let alone recall the memory. I stopped, not wanting to run the thing over, but I couldn't bring myself to exit my car. I was in shock, wondering what had happened and how it could have happened to me. I was supposed to be 10 minutes from home at that point, not stuck in the middle of the road with a dead body at the end of my headlights. Eventually, I did leave the car and went over to investigate what I had hit, and ultimately killed. It was a man. Strong, burly, dressed in some sort of fishing or perhaps butcher's outfit, apron and gloves with rubber boots. He had this look of shock on his face. I don't even know if he felt pain, but he definitely was dead, pale and still like a statue. I had killed someone, but it was no one I knew, nor did he seem like he lived in the area proper. I did what anyone would do, call the police and confess everything that happened. I waited, despite my routine demanding otherwise, and listened for the sirens to draw near. That was when a young woman from the other side of the road slowly crept up towards me. She was clearly traumatized, dirty, and starved from what I was able to see. All she asked was, "Is he dead?" I nodded, and the girl began to sob. The police arrived, allowing me to recount what had occurred, but the woman bawled and claimed me to be a hero. The man I had killed was a serial killer, and she was his latest kidnapped victim. She had escaped, and he gave chase, only for me to kill him in his pursuit. Journalists and police flocked my house for days afterward. Work gave me paid leave to deal with the trauma, but I wasn't able to leave my house to begin with. Every morning, afternoon, and night I had some TV news station or newspaper barking at my door, begging that I let them interview me. I was a hero, an honorable man of society for stopping that man from taking more lives. But my routine had been broken, and continues to be so to this day. I get gifts sent from strangers despite my very loud and public shouts to leave me alone. I can't even step onto my front porch without some sort of gawker staring at me from across the street. Getting the newspaper is a test of my reflexes to ensure I don't invite a desperate journalist into my home through the open door. I want to return to normalcy. I want my routine. I am desperate at this point. Jenny, how do I get another serial killer to move into the neighborhood?